Good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night, depending on what time you are watching this next episode of my tutorial series. You can see some of the builds in the background there, and the links for a lot of them are going to be in the description below if I remember to put it in. But today we're going to try and do a fairly basic, it's not quite a starter, but a fairly basic cottage that's got really efficient use of space for farming and gardens and things like that. And we're going to try and use maybe some slightly different ideas to get a good amount of space and gardening within a very small square. And we're not going to make it very, very big at all. So the stuff that we are going to be using to make the build is here. And we are going to be using some pretty basic stuff. All of this kind of thing you can get pretty simply, fairly close to the beginning of the game, I would have thought, depending on where you spawn. So you've got oak wood planks, oak wood, some spruce wood planks, spruce wood slabs, spruce wood stairs, a dark oak door. I've only done that for the colour. It could be a spruce, it could be oak, it could be whatever it is you fancy. Oak fence and oak fence gate, some grass blocks, various growing-y seedy type things, some light, some gravel, which I may or may not use, not quite sure yet, a hoe, some glass panes, some cobblestone wall block and stairs, some water, definitely need that, some flowers of your choice, you can have more than two, cobweb for something a little tricky later, some oak leaves, vines and various stuff that you would put inside your house. Really basic crafting things. Let's get on with the build. This is what it's going to look like when you're done. We are going to make this. We can see that it's got a number of layers for the farm. It's got a nice sloping roof with a little bit of overgrowth there. Some fairly efficient methods of making sure that all those layers are properly hydrated, and we've got a nice entrance at the front with a sloping roof that comes off to the side. I haven't done anything on the inside. The inside is entirely up to you. I know in the inventory I said you need chests and crafting table, but it's down to you where you put these things. I really hope that you come up with some great ideas and even make something slightly different for the chimney perhaps. That's just one idea you could go with. Let's get on with this build. And we are going to start with a relatively small square. Now I know we normally start with 7x7s. This time we've got an 11x11 square with a knobbly bit coming out the side, just coming out 5 wide and 7 deep. That is what you're going to need to start the frame of this house. So we start the way we normally do by getting ourselves 4 high logs in each corner of the frame. This is going to act as the support for the entire house, so it's important that we get this bit in. So just place them the way I am doing here. Now we're starting to create the walls. Now you could have completely wooden walls. I personally think one row of cobblestone gives the house just a little bit more texture and a little bit more depth. So have a single layer all the way around, but leave one gap there for a door right at the very front. Then we're going to fill it up with some oak. At the front we're putting 2 high oak planks on that jutty out bit, and then on the larger bit we are putting 3 high oak planks. I know this is very blocky right now. We are going to detail it and make it look right as we continue on the build. It won't just stay a box. Let's complete the frame on the front part there by using extra logs to create that nice frame and building it out so as it looks as it's got some real structure. And then we're going to use some spruce slabs. Now the reason we're going to use spruce slabs is because we're going to create a sloping roof that is a gentle slope. And you can see we've got 2 spruce slabs there, and then we're going up 1 spruce slab at a time to create a fairly gentle slope with that last longer slope bit, creating a more gentle effect. It doesn't look quite so harsh. Make sure you underpin it all the way with extra slabs so there aren't any gaps at the sides, because the gaps at the sides would end up being very difficult to fill with anything else. What we're then going to do is we're going to create a higher second level. This second level is really important for us to be able to create the efficient element of this particular build. So another 4 high blocks and create the frame all around those using extra blocks. And you can see we've done this a million times before in the other builds. Very simple way of creating a frame. And we're now going to do something slightly different. We're going to create a sloping roof rather than an A-frame roof, which is what we normally do on our builds. We're creating a sloping roof using these slabs, and it's a very gentle slope going up 1 slab at a time. So very simple to do. Just go along and across, a bit like a typewriter, along and across, along and across. And by the time you get to the opposite end, you will have elevated that by around about 4, 5 or 6 blocks, which you then need to underpin with more wooden blocks underneath. And we're going to fill these gaps in a minute. We just need to make sure that we've got some overhang with our roof, because that's obviously very important. No matter what type of roof you got, you always got to make sure you keep your overhang, otherwise it just looks really blocky, and we need that detail and that texture and that depth to make sure that the build looks right. And once we've done that, we're going to start to build out. We're building out 6 blocks using spruce planks, so they differentiate from the oak planks that we've got on the walls, and this is going to create some levels for us to build efficient farming. And we're going to fill these in, really weirdly, with grass. We're actually going to fill it in with grass, and this is going to be almost like a second level of lawn, but we're going to rake it over later so as we can grow some stuff. So just fill in all of those 3 levels with this extra grass, so as we can create some nice farming areas without having to go outwards. We're just going upwards. You can see we've got a gap at the end, deliberately left there. We've got 5 blocks of grass. We're going to fill that in with more spruce so as we can surround it. Then create another level on the tall side, exactly the same as the one underneath, 6 by 7, and fill it in with grass. And this is going to become a brand new level. Then we're just filling in the walls. Now we're not going to create any detail on these walls right now, because we're going to mash that detail out on it in a little bit. We just want to make sure the walls are filled up, and you can see where we've got that sloping roof, we can't fill up every single gap. Those gaps are going to get filled up with spruce planks in just a minute, and you'll see that once we've finished filling up the walls. And you know how important it is to make sure that gravity is observed in Minecraft, otherwise it just looks weird. So get some supports on these upper garden areas with fence posts all in one long row along the underside of each corner, and you can see it now looks properly supported like it's real. Then we need to hole some doors, otherwise these particular gardens aren't going to be of any use whatsoever. Get 2 high right in the middle of these gardens, and then we're going to put doors in there a little bit later, but at least then they'll be accessible from the inside at each particular area, and it's going to be much easier to section them off and make sure that you can see exactly where each section is going to be using that door. Now we've got small gates in the middle of each row of fencing, so as we can access it from the north, the south, the east or the west, doesn't matter what side we are, we've got open and closable gates all the way along. Now you could actually use gates for the entire row, but I wouldn't do that, because I think it just looks better having the support going into the ground. Make sure that you go up onto the second levels, surround those with just open fences. Don't put any gates there, because if you open a gate and walk off, you're going to end up hurting yourself as you fall to your doom from the upper level. So fencing all the way around that, and you created a nice safe area to grow your crops. Then we need to make some windows. We're going to start the detailing process on this house. It looks very bland and dull right now. We need to make it look a little less like a box or a barn and a little more like a cottage, and that's what this window detail will start to do. Each section needs at least 1 window, and in fact the lower sections will get 2 wide windows. Once we eventually get there, you notice on that wall I come back to create a 2 wide window a little later on. And also put windows at the front, because you want to see who it is that's knocking at your door. If it's a zombie, you don't want to open the door. That's never bad. You can see here 2 wide windows work really well on those large sides. Stick in the doors on every aperture from the inside to give the depth. Otherwise it looks really flat from the outside. Make sure you get the very most top level. And we've got lots of access to be able to get to our crops in every section of the house. Now we've got to detail this house a little bit more. It still looks very boring. So get yourself some cobble stair and put it around every corner where you have a block of wood, and also make sure that you underpin each window underneath on the ground level with some cobblestone stair to give that depth and texture. It looks much better. Make sure you do exactly the same within the garden area. otherwise it's just going to look really blocky and odd. And once you've done that, you want to overpin using some oak stairs. So over every single window, oak stairs, and it gives a really nice aperture for the window, kind of extends that window upwards to make it not quite so small and blocky. Then on the upper levels, underpin and overpin using these stairs, because of course there isn't any cobble there. And if you miss a window, just stick it in right now. It doesn't matter. We're really looking to create a little bit more texture on the outside of this house, so we're going to use some upside down stairs underneath the level that the roof finishes on, the slopey roof finishes on, and that actually follows along that oak block there. It makes it very easy to follow exactly where it is you're going. Make sure you go along the underside of the dirt as well, because if you don't do that, it's going to look like it's not continuous, and you want to make sure it's very continuous. And then the top level, at the top end of that slope, put another underpin on it with some more upside down steps. It creates some consistency across the build and also gives a little bit more texture right at the very top, and I personally think it makes it look so much better. Then every house needs a chimney, so we're going to put a little stone chimney so it really sticks out from that spruce planking. You can follow this design or you can create your own, doesn't really matter. Those stone fences make really great chimneys, and you can offset them to make them look a little bit wonky. Stick a stone pole on it and another block and a pole, and then get some cobweb. Cobweb is great for creating a smoky type effect coming out of your chimney. Knock some of the cobwebs out, so as you can see you've got gaps in your smoke balloons. I think that looks brilliant. Now what we're going to do is create some holes. We have to make sure these gardens are wet, so go right into the middle, count 3 in from each door, then go up to the second level, count 3 in from each door, and you'll find that that is the exact centre of each garden. Do it on the top level as well, and then get your bucket of water, and just on the top levels stick a bucket of water on the block where you've just punched it out. You'll see it creates a tower of water through the garden, which you can just then hoe right out, ready to receive the crops. What a great idea. Now if we want to grow stuff, we need to light this place up, so get your torch placements just right. Where I've done it here works really well, but if you've got a better option, you go for your life. It makes no real difference as long as you get good glow across all of the garden, and it also stops creatures and nasties spawning where you don't want them. Get some at the front as well, because it's nice to be able to see who's at the door. It could be that zombie again. And make sure you do the upper level as well, and get 4 across the actual wall and 1 in each corner of those upper levels, and then repeat the same on each individual garden, so as you've got consistency right across each area, plenty of light. These crops won't grow in the dark, it doesn't work, so you've got to make sure there's plenty of light for them to grow. We've got a ceiling of dirt, and that just looks unsightly. Nobody wants a dirt ceiling, so get yourself some spruce slabs and fill in that ceiling over where the dirt is. Don't go onto the absolute outside. Give yourself what looks like a little bit of an underhang, so you can see it's ever so slightly out, and then repeat that on each side, and it looks fantastic. Then get your plants in. Plant whatever you want, whether it's crops or carrots or melons or beetroot or goodness only knows what. Get them into the ground, get them growing. There is going to be massive hydration, and you can do what you want. Then get some kind of leafy vinage up the side of the house. Let's give it a little bit more texture. Oak leaves work really well, dark oak leaves work well, and they look very much like vines, overgrown vines growing up the side of the house. Don't overdo it. Make it on a couple of sides, maybe on the top end. That works really quite nicely. But don't do it everywhere. Then just get a little bit of vinage. Not too much vinage, just a little bit of vinage, because bear in mind this vine will grow a little bit straight down. So just put a little bit around those leaves. Don't put it anywhere else because it could look too harsh, but it gives a little bit of overgrownness and cottageness to the entire build, and just makes it look a little bit more lived in, and I like it much better that way. Then we just got to slap some flowers in. We've already got plenty of growth in our garden, but we've got no flowers, and we've also got no path. So get some gravel path around your flowers to make it look welcoming. Keep slapping the flowers all around your place, make it completely random, don't make it look too kind of organised and regimented. If it's too kind of straight lined, it won't look like it's natural, and you want this to look really, really natural. It's the best way for it to be. And there you have it. I think that's come out quite nicely. Really very, very simple, but multiple levels there to make sure you've got plenty of farming space within a really, really small area. You don't need much area at all to get lots and lots of farming in here. You've been following me. I didn't do anything on the inside. I didn't even put floors in. That's because I think you can choose to put mezzanine, full floor, whatever it is you think is best for your personal build, and make sure you build sufficient access to be able to get to the other levels. I think it came out really, really nicely, and I would genuinely love to see how your versions of this build have come out. So do tweet me. My Twitter link is in the description. Tweet me the pictures of your builds. It'll be awesome to see exactly what you've managed to do, and I look forward to you hitting that like button, seeing some comments downstairs in the comment section. Share it with your friends if you haven't already. Very naughty, but make sure you hit that sub button, and I will see you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.